Everywhere there were horses down and men scrambling. And he saw a man who sat charging his rifle while blood ran from his ears. And he saw men with their revolvers disassembled trying to fit the spare loaded cylinders they carried. And he saw men kneeling who tilted and clasped their shadows on the ground. And he saw men lanced and caught up by the hair and scalped standing. And he saw the horses of war trample down the fallen. And a little white-faced pony with one clouded eye leaned out of the murk and snapped at him like a dog, and was gone. Among the wounded some seemed dumb and without understanding, and some were pale through the masks of dust, and some had fouled themselves, or tottered brokenly onto the spears of the savages. Now driving in a wild freeze of headlong horses, with eyes walled and teeth cropped, and naked riders with clusters of arrows clenched in their jaws and their shields winking in the dust, and up the far side of the ruined ranks in a piping of bone flutes, and dropping down off the sides of their mounts with one heel hung on the wither strap, and their short bows flexing beneath the outstretched necks of the ponies until they had circled the company and cut their ranks in two. And then rising up again like funhouse figures, some with nightmare faces painted on their breasts, riding down the unhorsed Saxons and spearing and clubbing them, and leaping from their mounts with knives and running about on the ground with a peculiar bandy-legged trot, like creatures driven to alien forms of locomotion, and stripping the clothes from the dead and seizing them up by the hair and passing their blades about the skulls of the living and the dead alike, and snatching aloft the bloody wigs, and hacking and chopping at the naked bodies, ripping off limbs, heads, gutting the strange white torsos, and holding up great handfuls of viscera, genitals. Some of the savages so slathered up with gore they might have rolled in it like dogs, and some who fell upon the dying and sodomized them with loud cries to their fellows. And now the horses of the dead came pounding out of the smoke and dust, and circled with flapping leather and wild manes, and eyes whited with fear, like the eyes of the blind. And some were feathered with arrows, and some lanced through, and stumbling and vomiting blood as they wheeled across the killing ground and clattered from sight again. Dust stanched the wet and naked heads of the scalped, who with the fringe of hair below their wounds, and tonsured to the bone, now lay like maimed and naked monks in the blood-slaked dust. And everywhere the dying groaned and gibbered.